This is to be viewed immediately after Chapter 1. Or whenever after Chapter 1. Just after Chapter 1. Section 1. Behaviors. Definitions. Sexual intercourse may be called coitus, copulation, coition, or intercourse. Coitus is derived from the Latin word coitio or coire, meaning a coming together or joining together or to go together. It is known under different ancient Latin names for a variety of sexual activities, but usually denotes penile vaginal penetration. This is often called vaginal intercourse or vaginal sex. Vaginal sex, and less often vaginal intercourse, may also denote any vaginal activity, particularly if penetrative, including sexual activity between lesbian couples. Copulation, by contrast, more often denote... Copulation, by contrast, more often denotes the mating process, especially for non-human animals. It can mean a variety of sexual activities between opposite sex or same-sex pairings, but generally means the sexually reproductive act of transferring sperm from a male to a female, or sexual procreation between a man and a woman. Although sex and having sex most commonly denote penile vaginal intercourse, sex can be significantly broad in its meaning and may cover any penetrative or non-penetrative sexual activity between two or more people. For sexual activity with slightly different meanings, various vulgarisms, slangs, and euphemisms are used for sexual intercourse and other sexual activity, such as fuck, shag, and the phrase sleep together. Shag is my personal favorite. The laws of some countries use the euphemism carnal knowledge. Penetration of the vagina by the erect penis is additionally known as intromission, or by the Latin name emissio penis, Latin for insertion of the penis. The age of the first sexual intercourse is called sex arch. Vaginal, anal, and oral sex are recognized as sexual intercourse more often than other behaviors. Sexual activity that does not involve penile vaginal sex or other sexual penetration might be used to retain virginity, sometimes called technical virginity, or labeled intercourse. One reason virginity loss is often based in penile vaginal intercourse is because heterosexual couples may engage in anal or oral sex as a way of being sexually active while maintaining that they are virgins. They have not engaged in the reproductive act of coitus. Some gay men consider frotting or oral sex as a way of maintaining their virginities, with penile anal penetration used as sexual intercourse and for virginity loss, while other gay men may consider frotting or oral sex as their main forms of sexual activity. Lesbians may categorize oral sex, fingering, or sexual intercourse, and subsequently an act of virginity loss or tribadism as a primary form of sexual activity. Researchers commonly use the term sexual intercourse to denote penile vaginal intercourse while using specific words such as anal sex or oral sex for other sexual behaviors. Scholars Richard M. Lerner and Lawrence Steinberg state that researchers also rarely disclose how they conceptualize sex or even whether they resolve the potential discrepancies in conceptualizations of sex. Lerner and Steinberg attribute researchers' focus on penile vaginal sex to the larger culture's preoccupation with this form of sexual activity, and have expressed concern that the widespread, unquestioned equation of penile vaginal intercourse with sex reflects a failure to examine systemically whether the respondent's understanding of the question about sexual activity matches what the researcher had in mind. This focus can also relegate other forms of mutual sexual activity to foreplay, or contribute to them not being regarded as real sex. Real sex. That's real sex. And limits the meaning of rape. It may also be conceptually conflating sexual activity with vaginal intercourse. Heterosexuals who may be engaging in It may also be conceptually conflating sexual activity with vaginal intercourse, and sexual function hinders and limits information about sexual activity that non-heterosexual people may be engaging in, or information about heterosexuals who may be engaging in non-vaginal activities. Studies regarding the meaning of sexual intercourse sometimes conflict. While most consider penile vaginal intercourse to be sex, whether anal or oral intercourse are considered sex is more debatable, with oral sex ranking the lowest. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, stated that although there are limited national data about how adolescents engage in oral sex, some data suggests that many adolescents who engage in oral sex do not consider it to be sex. Therefore, they may use oral sex as an option to They may use oral sex as an option to experience sex while still, in their mind, remaining abstinent. Upton et al. Stated, it is possible that individuals who engage in oral sex but do not consider it sex may not associate the acts with the potential health risks they can bring. In other cases, condom use is a factor, with some men stating that sexual activity involving protection of a condom is not real sex, or the real thing. The view is common among men in Africa, where sexual activity involving protection of a condom is often associated with emasculation, because condoms prevent direct penile to skin genital contact. Stimulation. Sexual intercourse or other sexual activity can encompass various sexually stimulating factors. Physiological stimulation or psychological. Physiological or psychological stimulation, including different sex positions, such as the missionary position, the most common human sex position, or the use of sex toys. Foreplays may proceed from sexual activities, often leading to sexual arousals of the partners and resulting in the erection of the penis or natural lubrication of the vagina. It is also common for people to be sexually satisfied by being kissed, touched erotically, or held as they are by sexual intercourse. Non-primate females copulate only when in estrus, but sexual intercourse is possible anytime in the menstrual cycle for women. Sex pheromones facilitate copulatory reflexes in various organisms. But in humans, the detection of pheromones is impaired, and they have only residual longer function in women. During coitus, the partners... No, I'll finish it next time. This is a long enough chapter. You must wait for the lore.